In today's video, we're going to talk about another versatile feature of CabWriter, which is the divided cabinet. So up till now, it was a little more difficult within CabWriter to draw a cabinet such as this. A tall cabinet with, if we look inside, we take the doors off and take a look. It's divided. It's got fixed shelves in it. So that's sort of the defining characteristic of what we're calling a divided cabinet. It may not actually have the shelf in there, but it may have a rail. It may be a stretcher if it's a frameless cabinet. But all these things fall into the category of a divided cabinet for CabWriter. So in the past, what you had to do to create something like this is draw a base cabinet and then draw an upper cabinet that overlaps it and then stitch it all together. But we don't have to do that anymore. We might have a cabinet like this that has some doors and some drawers in it and maybe an open space for a oven, a built-in oven or something like that. So quite a few different things that you can make with this. We're going to show you how to get started and use the tools. So we start, like we always do, with our story stick tool. So I chose the story stick tool up here in the corner, and I'm just going to place a style out here. First, we should check our parameters and what we've got set here. So where we have put this is down here. Under base cabinets, it's considered a base cabinet. And it's a divided base, and we can specify the height of our divided base because it's often different from the rest of our cabinets. Other than that, all of the rest of the parameters that apply to base cabinets apply to the divided base. So the cabinet depth from the wall, the carcass gap back to wall, anything that's in the face frame, all that applies to the divided cabinet. The only thing it overrides is the cabinet top height, and the countertop thickness does not apply to the divided base. So we've got ours set at 94 3/4, which is what I want, and we're going to draw a cabinet. So I'm going to place my first style right here, and we're just going to call that a left end panel, let's say. Then I'm going to go over here. I'm going to use my distance tool, and that is when I press the control key twice, I get a D, and when I click here and come over, I'm going to go over 54 inches. So I'm going to type 54 into my measurement block, and then I'm going to put another style to the right of that, and we'll make that a right end panel as well. And now I'm going to use my distance tool again, Control, and I'm going to go back to the distance tool, and if, let's say I'm going to make two cabinets here, a two box cabinet, I want to go over, let's say 30 inches to fit an oven. So I'm going to go click here, go over 30 inches, typed in 30, and go back on the line, and that's my connector style. So we are going to now draw our cabinet. So I'm going to hit the Command key on the Mac, or the End key also works, and select a box type. So here's our new divided base. Now you have the option, there's some divided base options here. We have the option to set a shelf offset from the rail. I'm going to do 5/8 of an inch, and I'll show you what that does for us. That's the offset from the bottom of the shelf to the bottom of the rail. So I'm going to have it stick up 5/8 of an inch, which is going to make the shelf peek out a little bit. I like to use that as a doorstop, and I'll show you. So now we go position 1. So this is where we're going to position the fixed shelves. So the first one I'm going to do at 12 inches up. But I actually don't want a shelf there, just a rail. So I'm going to say no divider. I don't want a stretcher. I don't want a divider. I'm just going to get a rail. And I'm going to put one at 24 inches, but that's going to be the bottom of where my oven sits, so I do want to fix the shelf there. I'm going to put one at 54 inches up. It creates the opening for the oven. And then I'm just going to put one up at, say, 72 inches. So that's the first box. You can see highlighted in blue, we're talking about the one on the left side. And then on the next one, oh, right, this is grayed out because you cannot mix a different type. Once you've chosen divided base, anything that's connected to it in one cabinet has to be another divided base. It can't be any other type of cabinet. So it's given us the same divided base options as the last one in case we want to do the same thing. I don't. In this case, I'm going to change this. I'm going to put a fixed shelf at 48 inches with a, let's just put a stretcher there to see what that looks like. And I'm going to put one at 72 inches. And then I'm not going to have any more, so I'm going to delete these. Notice I can have up to 6 fixed shelves. And I say OK. I have a cabinet. So here's our divided base, and you can see that we've got two spaces that maybe we'll put drawers in down here, and no divider. Well, no divider fixed shelf. But notice that we've got a fixed shelf here, which we specified, and one here and one here. Over here we've just got the stretcher that we specified and a fixed shelf up here. Now you'll notice that we didn't get an option to draw our doors and drawers in. So this one's treated a little bit differently. We just get our cavities, and we have another set of tools for drawing in our doors and drawers, and I'm going to cover that in the next video. So for now we're just going to concentrate on how you draw the cabinet with its cavities, and that's why we don't get any hinge holes or shelf holes or anything like that behind there. But we've got our cabinet, and you can see it's constructed just like we've specified in our construction methods. If we want to turn this into a frameless cabinet, we would go in and we can change to frameless, and if we want we can redraw the cabinet. And we're not going to use the stored defaults because we changed our defaults. And you can see we don't have our rails and so on. And so if it was a frameless cabinet and we specified no fixed shelves and no stretchers, it would basically just be a regular base cabinet, and we wouldn't need to use the divided cabinet style. We would just use a regular base cabinet and make it this tall. But I want to go back and turn it back into a face frame cabinet, and show you this offset. So redraw selected cabinets. Do not use the stored defaults because we changed them. Oops. Face frame. Oop. Actually, you know what? I need to reload my. I'm going to go to the open and load CabWriter defaults tool, and I'm going to pick my face frame so I get my same parameters back that I started with, and then I'm going to redraw the selected cabinets. And no, I don't want to use the stored defaults. There we go. So if we zoom in here, you'll see this offset I have here with the shelf to the rail. That is the offset we specified before. So this is a 3/4 inch shelf and a 1 inch rail. So my offset was 5/8 of an inch up. That leaves me 3/8 of an inch here and 3/8 sticking up on my shelf, which is what I wanted. I wanted a 3/8 reveal. I like to use this when I put doors on here that I have something to stop the doors at the bottom. And in the case of an open shelf, I just like having that little lip sticking up. I put a little hardwood edge on there and maybe put a bevel, and I don't have to worry about lining the rail up with the shelf perfectly. There's some other interesting things we can do with the divided base tool. We can build something fun like a wine rack, which doesn't seem completely obvious at first, but let me show you how it's done. We will put a style right about here, and we're going to make that just a left-end panel. Then I'm going to go back to my distance tool, so I hit Control, Control, until I get the D, and I pull over here, and I'm going to type in 3.5 inches, which is a good width for a standard wine bottle. And then I'm going to pull the style to the right here and click on that. And this I'm going to make a right end filler style. Filler style, if you may recall, doesn't have any properties associated with it like scribe or filler panels or connector holes or anything. It's just a completely generic style, and I'll show you why. We can do something interesting with that afterwards too. So I say OK, and now I hit Command on the Mac or End, and it's warning me that an opening is less than the default minimum, which was set in our parameters just to give us a warning if we got a cabinet that was a little too skinny for our tastes. In this case, it doesn't really matter. It's a wine rack. It doesn't have a door on it, so I'm just going to ignore this and move on. And I'm going to select a box type, and we're going to go with the divided base, of course. And I'm going to do my usual 5/8 inch offset. And I happen to know what the values are for the wine rack to work out right, so it's 2 7/8. Obviously I want a fixed shelf for everything here. 7 1/4. 11 5/8. 16. 20 3/8. And 24 3/4. It's using all 6 of my shelves. And when I hit OK, oh, got a very tall wine rack because I forgot to go in and change my base cabinet height to 34 3/4, which is the standard height of my base carcasses. But I can fix that very easily. And I can click on it, right click, CabWriter, redraw selected cabinets. Do not use the stored defaults because I changed it. And I got a more cabinet that's a little more to my liking. However, not completely to my liking because I don't really like these mid rails here. And also, I need a lower rail on here for the face frame. See, in the rest of the kitchen, I don't use a lower face frame rail, but I do make the bottom rail on the doors a little heavier at 3 1/4. So what I'd really like here is a lower face frame rail at 3 1/4 to sort of mimic what's going on in the rest of the kitchen and get rid of these mid rails. So I'm going to go in and change my parameters again. On the face frame, I'm going to draw the bottom rail, but I'm going to draw it at 3 1/4. And I'm going to get rid of mid rails. And now I'm going to redraw the cabinet again. Do not use the defaults. And that is almost correct. So I forgot that when I had my rails in there that, remember, these were peaking above the rails because I had an offset. And so now I really don't want the offset because those values that I put in were as if there was no rails and no offset. So I can go back and I'm going to edit the cabinet now. So I'm going to right click, CabWriter, Edit Cabinet, because what I needed, and I'm going to use the stored defaults this time because I haven't changed anything in the parameter menu. But what I need to change is this information. I could change the shelf positions if I want, but what I really want is no shelf offset. So when I hit OK, see it put that back down, peeking up here, and all my spaces are now correct. So that's a wine cabinet, which is kind of cool. But if you recall, when I draw, if I wanted to draw this in with some other cabinets, when I'm using the divided base cabinet, I can only have divided bases connected to it to make a multi-bay cabinet. But what if I want to just put a standard cabinet next to this? Well, what I can do is grab my story stick tool and go down here and draw the left style of this cabinet overlapping the right style of this cabinet. And I'm going to make that a filler again, a left end filler. I don't want any special things along with that. And then I can come over here somewhere, and this one I can make a right end panel. And hit the end key or the command key. And this I'm just going to make a standard base with drawers. One drawer, one door. And hit OK. And I got a cabinet. The only thing is I've got a little issue going on in here, because remember I've got two styles here, one belonging to this cabinet, one belonging to this cabinet. And I've got I want to make one rail across here. So what I'm going to do is take all three of these and unlock them. So I right click, unlock. I'm going to delete this guy. Notice there's still a style there. It's also locked, so I need to unlock that. Now what I can do is get rid of, I'm just going to hit delete, highlight and delete this rail. Now I'm going to use standard SketchUp tools. I triple clicked on here to go into component edit mode, or I could hit, I'll show you that in a sec, but I'm going to use the push pull tool, this guy here. Nope, that's the scale tool, sorry, push pull. And I'm going to push this down until it's even with the bottom of this rail. And then I could triple click, or I could right click and say edit component. And again I can hit P for the push pull tool, which I just did. You can pull that over here. And oops, I pulled this too far down. I pulled it even with the drawer. So I'm going to just pull it back up again. And now I have myself a multi-bay cabinet with a wine rack in it. And I've got some stitching up to do down here on the base, because I had a base for this guy and a base for this guy. So I could delete one of these, pull it over, and so on. I'm not going to do that right now. Those are just standard SketchUp tools, deleting, push pulling, and moving things over. So that's how we get ourselves a tall cabinet integrated with standard cabinets. And I could have drawn a bunch of cabinets across here as well. Now when I redraw this, the only problem is if I go CabWriter, redraw selected cabinets, maybe I changed a parameter or something, use stored defaults, it redrew it redrew this cabinet here. So I probably have two styles again. Unlock, delete. Oh, no, sorry, because that one belonged to this cabinet before. What it belonged? Sorry, this style belonged to this cabinet. So when it redrew this cabinet here, it redrew this style, but this rail didn't get redrawn. So I would have to go back and do my push-pull again. Oops. Sorry. I'd have to do my push-pull again down to here. And then this one I got to unlock and pull it again. So what happened there was, since this rail had been deleted over here and this one was drawn as it originally was on this cabinet, I just had to pull it over again. So a relatively small amount of work, even if you redraw it. So there you go. That's how to draw divided bases. I hope you enjoyed it.